All right. Well, hey, everybody. I'm here with my very good friend, Mike Brown. We go back, Mike, what, probably 30 years or 25 years, something like that. We
25, 30 years ago.
Yeah. We graduated from Indiana Wesleyan together. I think Mike was a year or two behind me, but we shared a lot together in ministry, friendship. We were on a ministry team, a leadership team together at the campus church. So, Mike, tell us why you and I are having this conversation, because there's some cool things you're up to these days.
Yeah, Chris. Well, after I was in ministry, I left the Indiana Wesleyan and got in ministry, and I served as a pastorate for about 5 years. I wasn't very good at it, and so I got out after 9/11, and I joined the military and joined the infantry and served in the Army for over a decade, and then got out of the military and went back in ministry. Got my MDiv and my PhD in missiology, so I've been teaching for 10 years. But I just got back from Ukraine. So that's kind of the thing that we're talking about here is I went over to Ukraine in January all the way through the end of April.
All right. So when you say Ukraine, and this is when you called me and told me about all this, I said, wow, our people need to hear about this. We're not just talking about going to Kiev, however you pronounce that. We're not just talking about you supporting in the background. Where in Ukraine were you?
I positioned myself in Poltava, which is about 2 hours from the Russian border, but that was kind of where I was doing some reserve stuff. Where we ended up going was Kramatorsk, Druzhkovska, and we were in Kharkiv. And Kharkiv is one of the major battle areas, and we were there for about 10 days. And then we were down in Kramatorsk and Druzhkovska for a couple weeks, handing out food.
Yeah. All right. So, and some of those city names are probably not as common as I think we've all heard of Kharkiv, given what's in the news. What you just told us is you were on the front lines, essentially, or within, a reasonable range of the front lines. And you guys were what? Yes. You're distributing food, supplies, so forth?
Well, we connected with churches, and this is something that I don't think the news media is really telling people, Chris, is that there are churches that are still there, and there are churches that are working with people who are still on the front lines. And on another time, maybe we'll talk about the people who stay, but there's a large number of people who stayed on the front lines, and they're not leaving, and they're civilians. They're not soldiers. They're civilians living there, and they don't have access to food and water and even sometimes heat. So a lot of the churches in that area are just helping people who have not left.
Wow. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Mount Hope, I want you guys to hear Mike's whole story. He's obviously taking the mission of Jesus Christ and his call to us to extend a cup of cold water to those in need, to be there for the orphans, widows, all that kind of concept that is a part of the gospel. Mike is carrying that into some of the most war-torn environments right now in our world. So I want you to hear the story. We're going to create a longer form video, 8 or 10 minute video. We'll put it on our YouTube channel, link it in the description below here, as well as we're going to have Mike with us in person for Monday night, June 12th, to join us in person, to have an open conversation, to hear his story, ask questions. So I want to encourage you guys to mark your calendars and be a part of that with us, 6:30 on Monday night, June 12th. So, Mike, thanks, and we'll do a little bit deeper dive on this.